Hello and welcome to the Corner Flag. Todd Boehly loves talking to his players and Wout Weghorst loves kissing balls. That was very weird, but this is episode 212. Welcome everybody to the Corner Flag. We are back after 1 week where we did not post an episode because we lost all our data thanks to bad internet.
Don't say we.
I lost all the data thanks to bad internet. This is the first time this has happened to me.
This is one of the few times where the Corner Flag related fuck up that isn't related to me.
That is true. Like
this feels special.
But for it
I'm not
like,
sure. Like I feel like this is the fastest the superiority complex has kicked in. I don't know how to deal with this, but
I feel like it still had something to do with you because I'll tell you why. And this might be me reaching a little bit, but you were supposed to join on time, but your Didi came to clean the house at 9, which is just a weird time for a Didi to come clean the house at 9 p.m. at night. I've never seen that happen in anybody's house that I know. And therefore you were terribly delayed.
Yeah, because for those to us, the house is not mine. It's hers. It's hers. So when me and my flatmates sit outside, we're like homeless kids.
Yeah.
We sit outside and that's what happened. But none of that still has to do with me. And by the way, every time Amogh has blamed me in the past, he's been reaching as much. Okay, this is the average reach of Amogh when he blames me.
I'm just saying that you said you would join in the second half, and by the time you joined, this whole thing had gone to shit. My internet died. It wasn't even connecting on hotspot. We tried once again, and then finally we said, you know what, it's 9:45, fuck it, it's too late. Let's just take a break this week and we'll come back next week. And then you joined. And so even for a recording that was cancelled, you were late.
For a second, I was like, wow, I'm damn early, man. For a second. When I joined at 9, I think 9:30, I joined and I was like, I'm damn early today.
Akash and I were contemplating not telling you that we had cancelled the recording. Just have you stay there in an empty Zencaster room for like 3 hours.
I saw there was a hello, Amogh.
Yeah.
And now I was going to pretend also on the pod. Yeah, I'm there. I can hear you guys. Just pretend on the group chat.
If we would have left you there, would you have just gone on to record an entire hypothetical episode by yourself?
We would have had at least 25 minutes, like a sitcom amount for sure.
Stop hurting me, man. 25 minutes is the exact duration of the data that wiped out. Like it just 25 minutes of recording.
Whose fault is that?
My internet's Airtel Extreme Fiber. If you're listening, we're never getting sponsorship from them, by the way.
Because otherwise we were prime material for them.
Absolutely. We were just about to sign the deal.
Mittal closed the deal with us and then he's just went
absolutely. Right. Let's talk about a little bit of football before we get into the Premier League fixtures for the weekend. I thought we should start off with Chelsea because that place is an absolute dumpster fire of a club with everything that's happening. Chelsea did not play this week, which is, I mean, we spoke of this before we started recording. We don't really know why. It's not like they're in any other competition. But I feel like they just said, yaar, ek hafta to break de do, yaar. We're fucked. Like,
how many op-eds will you write about us? How many videos will you also make?
Give us time to actually come up with new shit for you. Like, let us add more fuel to this dumpster fire so we come back.
Spurs was like, I've got this.
No, we'll get to Spurs in a bit. But let's start off with Chelsea because after their Champions League defeats, I mean, the whole thing is, of course, they sacked Thomas Tuchel because of whatever happened, and then they got Graham Potter, and we thought that it was going to be a long-term association with Graham Potter, but that never looked like it was ever going to materialize. And then they signed Frank Lampard as caretaker manager, which was again
former Everton
and Derby County manager. Frank Lampard was signed as caretaker manager. His second spell at Chelsea. Like the number of managers who've had 2 spells at Chelsea. Jose Mourinho's had them. Gus Hiddink has had them. And now Frank Lampard is in that illustrious group of managers. But the reason why a lot of new managers that they're looking at, like Nagelsmann was supposed to be somebody that they were talking to, and that has not materialized because apparently he did not like how involved Todd Boehly is in the club. And this just goes to show because after both the legs, Todd Boehly ended up going to the Chelsea dressing room and he called the Chelsea team embarrassing after their last defeat.
I think Todd Boehly doesn't know that an owner is not a manager. I think he's, like there's always that producer who wants to act in a film. The cricket owner who wants to play a shot. Like the guy who owns the bat also wants to be a good player.
Yeah.
I think Todd Boehly is that. Deep inside, he wanted to be a soccer player.
Yeah.
But sucks he had to become a billionaire.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
it's
sucks.
it's such a
Life
bad
took
thing
a
for him.
sad turn.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
ended his football career and
Yeah.
put him on the path of billions.
Yeah, he could have been making billions playing football, but now he can't play football, but still
He could have been making millions playing football, but sadly he just owns football and makes billions.
Yeah, so
Tragic.
it's a sad time
Tragic.
to be Todd Boehly. But so he visited the dressing room and he called the team embarrassing, and apparently he singled out one player, one of the recent big money signings who's been a flop. Let's just guess who we think that is.
Yeah, Felix.
But he's a loan signing, so maybe not. So it's not like they spent big money on him. Could be Mikhailo Mudryk
Or Enzo Fernandez.
But
yeah.
or maybe it's Lukaku. Even though he's not there. Like, you think Todd Boehly actually went into the dressing room and started a Zoom call, called Inter Milan in their dressing room. Lukaku, you're a fucking embarrassment, boss. I'm not even there. I don't care. You're still a fucking embarrassment.
I think that's how he would have been calling up Graham Potter and been yelling at him. Like, you caused this, you fucking idiot.
Graham Potter somewhere in the Maldives having a vacation, just trying to get all the toxicity out of his system. It's like, "Arey bencho, ye lavde ka phone aa gaya wapas, kya hai yaar?" But speaking of Lukaku, by the way, apparently Inter don't want to keep him, and he's going to return. No, I mean Chelsea, though it's obvious that Chelsea don't want him, but he has no option but to return to Chelsea next season.
I think United might take him back.
See, we're not into second spells as much as Chelsea is. We don't hire the same manager again, and we don't hire the same players again. So at least in my memory, that has not happened, unless we're talking about Paul Scholes coming out of retirement to sign back for United and play a few games. But apart from that, it has not happened. But yes, who do you think there's any other player that Boehly could have?
I think it's between Felix and
I think it's Enzo or Mudryk. Because those are the two big.
Unless he went to Kepa.
But the thing is, no, I feel like Enzo Fernandez has actually been playing well for them. Mudryk, I mean, like we said a few episodes ago, Bichara Ukraine se aaya hai, so there's a little bit of PTSD that he still needs to get
and
rid
on
of.
the other hand, Enzo Fernandez has just won the World Cup and he's like, club football, 10th place pay.
Where's
like,
Messi? Messi kidhar hai?
Yeah, it's like, I just won the World Cup with Messi. My country threw themselves at me and here I'm having dumb fans throwing bottles at me. Like, what's the incentive here to play for 10th place? Like,
Todd Boehly also before the before the Real Madrid game, I think this was the second leg that they lost 2-0. Todd Boehly was asked by a reporter what he thinks is going to happen in the match, and he defiantly told the cameras and he told the fans, "We're going to win 3-0." They ended up losing 2-0. So clearly, he may not be a very good football team owner. He may not be a very good team motivator in the dressing room. But at least we also know he is not a good Paul the Octopus.
He's not a good. So we can't eat him then.
We can't eat him.
Like Paul the Octopus
went straight to cannibalism. That's a very weird place to go to.
I'm saying we can't.
That's what they all say.
We don't eat the rich, but this is one rich person we can't eat.
What's really funny is Lampard, when asked about Todd Boehly's frequent visits to the dressing room, said, "I think there's no problem in that." Which is, you're Frank Lampard. Of course, you're not going to have a problem with anything Todd Boehly does.
Whenever a football player turns meek, I have only one answer, which is that their son or daughter has joined a really expensive boarding school, and they're like, "Abhi fees bhejna hai." Yeah, of course, sir. Please come in. They're like, "Please."
You can do whatever you want, Todd.
Yeah. You want me to slap that guy? Come, slap him.
I mean, of course he's going to say he's okay with it because Todd Boehly is the reason that Frank Lampard still has a job, and especially at a club like Chelsea. Like, he is the very reason for gainful employment for Frank Lampard. So anything goes.
Lampard is just now Gunda ka right hand man.
Yeah.
He's Chota Rajan. Like, he's not anyone of worthwhile in that Chelsea hierarchy.
Do you think Chelsea is going to get relegated this season? Because they are closer to the relegation than they are to the European slots. They find themselves in 11th place now with 39 points. 3 losses, 2 draws in their last 5 fixtures. They're playing Brentford next, which is again going to be a tough fixture for them. But just 39 points, 11th place. That's about 11 points away from 18th place. So with the way things are going for them, we might just see them in the relegation dogfight come the last few fixtures.
Yeah, Chelsea is it's the only team this current Chelsea is the only team that's made me feel sentimental towards Manchester City in that you can't throw money. I think they spent about 600 million and they've done fuck all to show for it.
Yeah.
And now I'm look at Man City and go, yeah, you spent 1 billion, but at least you have something to show for it.
But the thing is, no, it's also the way that both the teams have spent their money, right? Like when you say you can't throw money at a problem and solve it, it is true for Chelsea because that's what they've literally done. They've just literally thrown money at the team, at the club, just to be like, oh, we'll sign a player for 100 million and that'll just magically get us back into Europe. That's not how it happens. City, on the other hand, have strategically thrown their £1 billion over a number of years. I mean, Mark Hughes was their manager when the City Football Group took over. And he stayed in the job for a while. It's not like they immediately went, fuck off, we're getting Ancelotti. Aisa nahi hua.
Yeah.
But
it's like, you know how people are like, oh, you can either moneyball something or you can throw money at something. And they were like, what if we did both?
Yeah.
What if we moneyballed with billions?
Wasn't James Milner one of the City Football Group's first signings for Manchester City?
Yeah, and then they sent him out to stunning Liverpool.
Liverpool. Adjectives have already started coming in right now. We'll get there. We'll get there. But yes, enough about Chelsea. Let's talk about the other team in the City of London that is up top of the Premier League. First place right now, but maybe not for long because Arsenal bottled it yet again. That's 3 draws in a row now for Arsenal. The latest one, this one, of course, being a 3-3 draw against Southampton of all teams. Southampton, which is bottom placed.
And they walked out of this happy that they even got a point because for the longest time the score was 3-1. I think they somehow salvaged a draw.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good chance this could have been a loss and 0 points. And I think Theo Walcott, former Arsenal player, almost kicked them out of the points table on this one. And it was scary for Arsenal for a bit. But I think it was nice to see in the last 5-6 minutes they managed to get some atmosphere going and the kids turned up. It felt like the bacha party turned up and scored goals.
But you know, a lot of people are saying exactly this about Arsenal where, they could have lost, but they worked so hard and they were such mentality monsters to get a point back. I'm like,
mentality monsters.
You can't call a team mentality monsters for getting a point against bottom place Southampton.
No, definitely can't. I think that's a little high praise.
Yeah.
They were probably mentality monsters for 35 seconds, maybe the whole game. I think definitely I think we've discussed it before also that in this last stretch, the last 1/4 where Arsenal has traditionally bottled it, but also teams like Liverpool, like United, which are being chased by something like a City, tend to bottle it in the last stretch, especially because they're inexperienced in just going for a title race.
But you know what's the hilarious narrative right now that Arsenal fans are throwing out, right?
Yes.
It is that what people don't like. This is after being on top of the table for so long and just being like, oh, we're going to win the league. Lol, amazing. We're amazing. Arteta, trust the process. Now suddenly the narrative is people don't understand how hard it is for Arteta to go up against a state-backed machine like Manchester City. I'm like, arey, chal na, chodu,
I swear I've been looking at them like, that James Franco meme going first time.
Yeah.
That's me looking at them just being like, oh, you kids, come over this side.
Come, let's sit alongside the bonfire and have a nice chat.
Let's have a nice chat.
I will tell you stories about my time. But seriously, it honestly feels like Arsenal, and they've had a spectacular season. We should not take that away from them.
Yeah.
An absolutely spectacular season. Some might argue it's also because Man City had not the best start to the season. Neither did Liverpool or any of the other teams that could have contested.
Liverpool have not had a good start, good middle, or a good ending. But
Liverpool seem to be having a slightly better ending, so we don't know yet. There's still 7 games to go.
Amogh is playing Jinx mind games, influencing the fate.
Mind games is for managers like Frank Lampard. Biggest mind game. I'm the boss of Chelsea. I'm in your head now. No, but they've had a fantastic season, and it just feels like, as we get into the run-in, the inexperience of Arteta as a first-team manager. And of course, it's not like his first rodeo. He's been at Arsenal for a couple of years now. But the inexperience of a manager to get into a title race is now showing.
Yeah.
The inexperience of that young squad, which is done brilliantly throughout the year, is now showing. And you just feel like it's showing at the absolute worst time because just as their form is starting to dip, Man City are just becoming the monsters that we all know that they are.
Their teething problems have been solved and they're just biting into every fucking point.
I don't think they had teething problems. I think they were born with a full set of dentures.
And that was the problem.
That was the problem. There were too many teeth.
They had 37 teeth.
They had a Klopp problem.
Yeah.
Bahut daant hai.
Bahut daant hai.
But I feel like Pep Guardiola has just told everyone, "Tu Jack Grealish hai, tu Erling Haaland hai, benchot khelo na uski tarah," and they've just been like, "Yeah, why didn't we think of that?"
Yeah, and also there's a good mix of winners, people who won things, and the new squad who have that little bit of freshness or willing to try new things.
Yeah.
Which I think the other team that I can think of other than City that have this is United, and we've discussed this before, where we said that the one thing that United have also done right is they've gotten a new set of winners.
Yeah.
Like people who won things before, whether leagues and Champions League, etc., which means that the squad feels a little more assured. Whereas I think Zinchenko is their Zinchenko is probably Arsenal's most experienced winner, or maybe Gabriel Jesus, but
it's between
both of them,
Jesus,
right? The rest of the squad who's playing big time, who's playing most number of minutes, they really don't have that much experience winning things.
Yeah.
And you can clearly see that they're not able to keep up that pressure of that nervousness is showing in their faces. Like I think someone like Ramsdale, who's been so reliable, should not have let that first goal, the mistake that he did, which is he directly passed it to Alcaraz, and I think that is a mistake that he wouldn't have done the first half of the season.
Yeah.
But it's only now that the narrative is building, and I'm sure he's also hearing the voices on social media and the press and within, etc. There is a lot of nerves, which is inexperience.
But now, do we think that City are definitely going to leapfrog Arsenal and win the title? Because as it stands, of course, Arsenal are still top with 75 points. City are 5 points behind with 70, but City have 2 games in hand over Arsenal.
But everything comes down to this Wednesday when there's a Man City versus Arsenal game. And if you're going to watch any game this season, it's got to be this one.
Yeah.
I think this is the game of the season.
Yeah.
Every season boils down to these 2 or 3 clinical games,
Correct.
and this is that game for sure.
Right.
So I'm excited.
Right. Now, sticking to North London, because Spurs just basically looked at Arsenal and said, "Oh, you're bottling your season. Anything you can do, we can do better." And man, they just imploded. 6-1 winners, or rather 6-1 losers. Spurs, Newcastle running out 6-1 winners. 5 goals in the first 25 minutes?
Yes, and the only reason I think it wasn't even 10 was there was some sense of like, there's an honor code.
Yeah.
Okay, we can see you're struggling and suffering. Let's not really make it worse. Okay, I just want to say 2 things. One is Harry Kane's goal. That one goal was amazing though. The one goal that they did score, it was great. I mean, the rest of it was all shit.
Yeah.
But I think if let's start with the positives, which is Harry Kane's goal was amazing, and that's it.
I mean, if we are going to look at the positives, then basically second half is all that we have to look at. And even that Spurs couldn't win because Callum Wilson then in second half made it 6-1. So it was technically a 1-1 draw in the second half.
Second half, yeah.
But I mean, sure, that was the first thing that you wanted to say. What was the second thing that you wanted to say?
The match ended for them. So that was good. 90 minutes was up, so that's good for them.
That's very good for them.
Good, positive.
Dude, Newcastle, what did they have for breakfast?
What? Tottenham. They clearly had Tottenham.
Yeah,
no, I think you can clearly see what Conte was talking about, that each player, the minute there's a little bit of crisis or stress, that they're 11 individual players, whereas Newcastle clearly looked like a team. And you know that team is playing others. It's bigger than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Talents like Alexander Isak, Willock, etc. They're playing stunning football also because assured that there's a system that lets them experiment.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Tottenham on the other hand looked completely clueless. They had 4 centre backs in one line, in one vertical line, not even one horizontal line. And Lloris has been past his prime for a while now, and I think you can see that the first 2-3 goals were clearly he was just stunned.
He was just stunned.
And he's not the leader that people expect him to be.
Yeah.
Because he's also a World Cup winner. He's played finals.
I kind of disagree. I feel like he is the leader people expect him to be. He's just not the goalkeeper that everybody expects.
Correct. And you can't be so bad at your job and be captain, right?
Yeah.
You need a certain minimum level of skill.
Yeah.
To be captain, and I think he's not living up to that, and it's so much harder when you're a goalkeeper because the pressure is obviously so much higher. And like honestly, those first 20 minutes showed what Conte was talking about a month ago.
Yeah,
it's a clueless team. They have no idea what they're doing. It's the owner's fault. It's embarrassing for the players.
Yeah.
And there's clearly no plan. And I think Harry Kane is now just going for that one record, which is Alan Shearer's record.
I mean, so speaking about Lloris, of course, he was taken off at halftime, right? Like he was subbed off at halftime, and he claims that he was taken off due to injury. He said that my injury does not sound good. I don't know if it's a muscle, but around the hip when I kicked, it doesn't sound good. which can be roughly translated into my performance in the first half did not sound good. I don't know if I was just sleeping when I kicked the ball, but it did not look good. Because, I mean...
Yeah, this was as the president of the Goalkeepers Union and Corner Flag. Let me tell you, this one was a hard to... We're going to throw him to the dogs.
No, but I mean...
We're not going to defend him.
Even Laurie... Like, how do you magically get an injury at halftime when you've shipped in 5 goals?
Yeah, it was just an embarrassing performance for Laurie.
It's a concussion, boss. I don't think I can go on. I think 3 of the 5 goals were because I was going through a little bit of a concussion. But lots of interesting things, all right? Danny Rose, former Spurs left back Danny Rose, former Spurs, Newcastle and Watford left back Danny Rose said about this fixture. He said, Jamie Redknapp told me you have to have the right personnel to have a back 4. I was wrong there, but there have been so many mistakes. All I've been thinking of in that first half is, how am I unemployed? Well, Danny, it's because you're shit. And if you were employed right now and you were in that back 4, even if you were in that back 5, the score would have been 7.
7-1 at least, yeah.
So I think that's the reason why you're unemployed as a football player. I'm not saying that I could do a better job, but I could. I'm only saying that because nobody's ever going to check.
Yeah, we'll check after this.
How are you going to check? Like, how will you compare? Because I'm never going to be able to play at the level that Danny Rose has played at. You can't compare a Premier League game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to a 5-a-side at St. Andrews. You can't.
It's like, you know what they say? It's like comparing apples to roses. Let's go.
Yeah. One smells really nice and one tastes really nice. And I'm talking about roses. Roses taste really nice.
He's talking about the player.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize I did that. Nice. This is what happens when you go off script. Spurs basically are out of the top 4 spots now.
Yeah, Tottenham's out of the race for top 4. Liverpool, I think, comfortably out, because I think for Liverpool to have any chance, Newcastle had to lose this. And then I think the first 2 minutes, they give me 2 minutes of hope, and I was like, yeah, I'll come back. I'll check in 90 minutes later.
But Liverpool do have a game in hand over Spurs, and they're 3 points behind Spurs, so there is a possibility.
Brighton behind, and
there's Brighton. There's a lot of movement.
There's a lot of Vedic match that needs to happen for this to play out.
You might just make it into the top 5 or the top 4, just for fun, like just for like a few hours, and then
then we'll drop back
to earth.
Yes, like, oh, this is what it feels like, and then be like, I'm here as a tourist.
Yeah,
I'm not here as a resident.
Yeah. Speaking of Harry Kane, though, Daniel Levy was asked about Harry Kane's future, and he said that basically the discourse is that Harry Kane is never going to realistically win a trophy at Spurs.
Yeah, it's a toxic marriage.
It is a very toxic marriage. But Daniel Levy added more fuel to the toxicity of it by saying that but being a highest ever goal scorer at Tottenham Hotspur is also a record that he should be proud of. And I would love to create a statue of him outside. And Harry Kane must be thinking, personal trophies, statue outside the stadium. Because I'm sure Harry Kane must be thinking, even if I leave now and go to a Man City or wherever and win some sort of trophies, I should still fucking get a trophy outside the stadium because I've literally dragged this team by the collar for so many years.
And also, let's say you went to jail, right? And you were an outstanding inmate.
Yeah.
And they built a statue for you outside the jail. You would really celebrate it.
Exactly.
Like, that'll still feel a little off, right? I feel like this one will feel like it's the world's saddest statue.
Yeah. It's just Harry Kane just being gun to his head signing a new contract. That should be the statue of him outside the stadium. Right, but let's talk about Liverpool, because Liverpool mounted a great comeback against Nottingham Forest, one of the tougher teams to play against. But a 3-2 victory for Liverpool. Mo Salah getting in on the action quite late on, helping myself and other owners of Mo Salah in the FPL something to cheer about.
Yeah, the irony of this game was that I think both the goals that Liverpool let in and the third one that they almost let in, which hit the post, were all throw-ins.
Yeah.
And Liverpool is one of the first and probably still now only teams that has a throw-in coach.
Right.
I'm like, what is the coaching doing that we're letting in the goals because of the throw-ins?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's more of an offensive throw-in coach and
Yeah.
not a defensive throw-in coach. And some I'm like, it just sounds like Liverpool hired a throw-in coach saying, yeah, now our throw-ins are sorted. And he's like, yeah, this is how we throw the ball and this is how we score. You make the throw-ins seem like corners, push on and create like massive attacking opportunities for us. Oh shit, defending भी करना पड़ता है क्योंकि
no, they do the same thing when defending also, and that's the problem. They don't know when to differentiate when it's offense and defense. No, I think so. Liverpool had no business. They shouldn't have to take the lead thrice. Right. I think that really shows that this is consistency is still very far.
Yeah.
Quality is there, but consistency is quite far away for Liverpool even now, and I do feel like Liverpool were lucky to come out with 3 points. They deserve to come out with 3 points given the quality of football they played. But there were so many errors and small errors, etc., that there's no way that. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. In fact, I've walked out feeling bad for Forest that they didn't Liverpool was saved by a post.
But like Forest are now in 19th place, 27 points. They're right in the thick of the relegation battle, right? But they keep coming so close to these fantastic results.
Yeah.
And it just dies out. Like this is one team that I really, really do not want to see get relegated.
I get what you mean. That they just don't have that clinical touch that something like, like a Burnley had when they were in that zone. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, Burnley would lose a lot of those games, but once in a while they would come and get these 3-1 performances against any of the bigger teams. And I think I think that's what relegation teams are supposed to do for me. They're not supposed to be walkovers, right? They're supposed to give you those draws and wins or losses to the bigger teams that you least expecting. Nottingham Forest aren't those, so I'm quite okay if they go down. But I'm not particularly attached. But yes, they have been closer than most of them. I want to see a newer team come and do the punch up.
Right. All right. On that note, let's take a quick break. On the other side, we'll answer your questions. We'll talk about West Ham and Everton, and we'll also talk about some juicy FA Cup action. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Corner Flag, everybody. And as always, we begin the second half with your questions. Questions with the Corner Flag.
Dude, answers also, huh?
The first question today is from Praga_19, and these are questions and comments and clarifications. He says, for the third time, for fuck's sake, how are you doing, Arsenal fans?
It's...
What is the Arsenal fan in you? I know somewhere, however
there
small,
is no Arsenal fan.
However small, there must be.
No.
Okay, I will tell you as the closest to an Arsenal representative, I will tell you how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like, man, I should have been kinder to those Liverpool fans and they were going through the same thing, is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I wonder how, I'm sure every other, I'm sure I speak for all Arsenal fans when I say that I regret in not empathizing on sympathizing with Liverpool fans.
I just want to tell Arsenal fans to stop living in United fans' heads rent-free, man. Like, just constantly thinking about United, constantly thinking about the narrative that is being pushed against them. मतलब कितना victim complex होगा यार तुम लोग का? कितना? ठीक है ना, बोल रहे हैं हम लोग अच्छा खेल रहे तुम लोग, but हग रहे last minute पे because you don't have the experience. That's just what it is. Like, just accept it and move on. Next season maybe you'll win it or not. We'll see.
Our next question is from PRS MUFC. That's a lot of alphabets. He has to say, how long do you think the game had to go on for Webster to get yellow? 2 to 3 hours more?
Yeah, probably. For any Brighton player to get yellow.
They were playing quite rough. And I think it came quite late at the 85th minute or something, the yellow card came. Which first, for a second, I assumed, hey, this must have been a very friendly game. And I realized, no, actually, there were a lot of really rough tackles and the referee was letting a lot of things like mild for a brief second, for just a millisecond, I was sympathizing with Bruno Fernandes and I was like, no, he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it. Arbiner asks us, Man United to do the double or Man City to do the treble? More likely of the two?
I think neither of the two will happen because I I mean, obviously, Man City are favourites for the FA Cup. Let's be honest.
Correct.
United can pull off a surprise. They have beaten Man City earlier on in the season, so we know that we can beat them. And Ten Hag has also said that they will do everything they can to make sure that they come out victorious in the final. But I feel like City will win the FA Cup and probably the Premier League, but they won't win the Champions League.
Champions League. So I feel like maybe City to do the double.
Yeah.
And United to do the single.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Noob Clicks says, bro, Amogh, great save, good reflex. We want to see that more.
Oh, this is, I think, we posted on International Goalkeepers Day. We posted something on our Instagram, which is just photos and one video of me, but photos of Akash, you and I
as
playing
keepers.
in goal in various stages of our life. And what the one video was in one of the Roots games that I played, I pulled off a good one-on-one
stunning save.
Yeah, it was not bad, no?
That was a good save.
A lot of people said it was already going wide.
Haters.
Yeah, exactly. Haters gonna hate, man.
Haters gonna hate. Savers gonna save.
Exactly.
Areho Samba says, बोला था bottle करेंगे Arsenal वाले. That's it. It's just just tired. He just wants to talk to us.
Okay.
Now,
I don't know कभी बोला था Areho Samba, पर I'm sure many people have said that, including you, including us. And no surprises there.
Yes. And my favorite question of the day is from Shrew_8. And she asks us, name 3 dream fixtures you guys want to see from stands. I saw Milan versus Napoli, first leg in San Siro.
Dude, firstly, fantastic experience. I'm so happy that you got to see that. Fucking San Siro is a stadium that's probably not going to exist from next season. They're planning on taking it down and building a new stadium, which means a massive part of footballing heritage is going to be no more. And
yes, I'm a little jealous also, but
yeah, very, very jealous that you got to see Napoli versus Milan at the San Siro. Fuck, because like, oof, that is like.
Yeah, I can imagine the vibes
goosebumps.
must have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Now go Amogh. I think we'll just take 3 totally. They give 6. You go first.
1
One for sure that you want to see.
I'd love to see a Champions League game at Old Trafford, for sure. I'd love to see the FA Cup final at Wembley.
Yes.
And I would love to
I
see...
think teams. She wants to know the teams too.
Oh, I mean, United playing Champions League against...
United versus India.
That could happen actually as a friendly. That might just happen. But no, I would love to see a United versus Dortmund Champions League final. It would be great if it's at the Westfalenstadion. Even though that would give Dortmund home advantage in the final, which is not great. But yeah, that's a stadium that I would love to go to. The FA Cup final at Wembley could be United against anyone, as long as United win the FA Cup and lift the cup at Wembley and I get to see it live. And I think the third game that I would love to see live is maybe a Wrexham game, yeah.
Yeah, I was just, okay.
Like, Wrexham, and now that they've been promoted, and we'll talk about this later in the show, like a nice League 2 fixture.
Yeah.
Proper scrap.
Millwall versus Sunderland.
Millwall to League 1 Championship mein. But, and I don't want to see a Millwall game because I feel like Millwall fans win, draw, lose, they'll find me and kill me.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put myself in that situation. But yeah, Wrexham against one of the League 1, League 2 opposition teams that they'll face, I think would be fucking fantastic to watch.
So for me, definitely contingent that Liverpool win. Contingent on that result is I want to see Liverpool versus Real Madrid final, Champions League final at Anfield. I want to be in the stadium, and I hope if it does happen, then obviously Liverpool should win. I don't want to go there and Real Madrid wins, which is probably most likely what happens. That's one. I want to see one India game, one World Cup play in whichever, one of the biggest stadiums. Say at Wembley, India's playing, I'll go for it. I want to see India play India versus Pakistan. At Wembley will be a great football match to watch just for the vibes.
Just for
pure
the
vibes. Pure vibes. The football quality will be crap, but the vibes are going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
The British people, every British is going to be like, what the fuck is happening?
Every British guy will be like, look at what we created.
Yeah. And the final one probably will be something like you said, which is I want to see like a Wrexham versus someone, like one of these tight League 1, League 2 game. Maybe even when they go down and
Yeah.
then see a Leeds game, because I know they're supposed to have a good atmosphere in their stadium.
I mean, fuck Leeds, firstly. As a United fan, I am contractually obligated to say that. Also, after Bielsa, who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck? Oh, maybe in Europe then definitely one. The closest I've come to, I was in the city when there was a Napoli versus Roma game, and that was like beautiful because the city came alive in the footballing sense, and that was stunning.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe one of those games.
Nice. All right, cool. Let's talk about the rest of the relegation dogfight, because West Ham finally found some sort of form and beat Bournemouth 4-0. West Ham, of course, going through a really bad run of form under David Moyes, and lots of questions have been asked about David Moyes as well. And you might not know this because you were not on last week's recording. In fact, nobody knows this because nobody got to hear last week's recording. But in the 25 minutes that we recorded and then subsequently lost, Akash and I were talking about if David Moyes is the right man to take West Ham forward. And he thought he is, because of what he's done with his Europa League qualification and the run that they subsequently had. And even this season, they're possibly favourites to win the Conference League. Because they're the strongest team in the tournament, just basis squad and financial power. But I feel like David Moyes has hit his ceiling.
Yeah, I think we all got the feeling even last season that that was probably David Moyes' peak.
Yeah.
And I think West Ham, unlike a Brighton, which clearly have a succession plan in place for a succession plan.
Yeah.
They were so dependent on David Moyes creating magic, and I feel like when you're dependent on one individual, you hit a ceiling much faster.
Yeah.
And that's clearly happened to them. But still, they have bursts of good football. Like I think this weekend they won 4-0 against Bournemouth. So I think that's bound to happen. But creatively, footballing, tactically, I feel like they've hit their ceiling because they're dependent on David Moyes.
Yeah, and I just feel like David Moyes is the kind of manager that you get. Like, he's a proper old school British manager, right?
Yeah.
Like he's not the kind of I wouldn't say he's tactically inept, because that is something that you can only refer to Frank Lampard as.
Yeah.
And David Moyes has done a lot in the game to not be considered tactically inept. But I feel like he is not on par tactically with the rest of the coaches in the league, right? He is not a master tactician. He can organize a team, he can organize a defense, he can organize a little bit of an attack. He can work with what he's been given in terms of the squad and given in terms of the budget that the club that he's at has. And he can make a few shrewd transfers and build a platform for a club to become stable in the Premier League. Possibly get them into Europe. But that's it. He can't take them to the next level. He can't take them to a trophy. He can't take them to consistently qualifying for that position. And I feel like that's where he kind of falls short. And I feel like they've stuck with him for way longer than they should have. And of course, it's a tough decision, because if you have a fantastic season like the one he had last season, it's very tough to kind of change managers and bring in something new. But I feel like they stuck with him for a little longer than was required. And now they're in that awkward position where the good times seem to have gone, and they just don't know what to do.
I might disagree a little, maybe just being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, which is that maybe if he got an opportunity like Eddie Howe, Eddie Howe was at a Bournemouth and he went up and he got a really big club, and maybe we might have seen a fresher side to his tactics, because he's always been that middle class father trying to make ends meet and trying to be like, "Arey chalo, 1,000 rupees pe Kulu Manali jayenge." He saved up all the discount vouchers.
Yeah.
He's been a little bit like that, but maybe had he hit the lottery and he got a big club with big resources, I'm saying even resources like, say, the kind that Everton saw.
Yeah.
Right? Even definitely not Everton, please, but say that level of wealth, he might have shown us a little more magic. He might have shown us his tactics might have been a lot fresher.
Yeah.
But we don't know. I mean, but I think but for now it's fair to say that he's hit his ceiling, and maybe either he needs to get through one more cycle, or this is the peak of his career.
Yeah, West Ham find themselves after this win, and of course 3 wins in the last 5 games, 1 loss, 1 draw. They find themselves in 13th place at 34 points. But that is far from safety, because like we have mentioned multiple times earlier, that relegation battle goes all the way up to almost 10th place.
Yeah.
Everything is very, very tight there, and anybody could go up or down. We can't really tell till possibly the last day of the season. Bournemouth, on the other hand, also out of the relegation zone. They're in 15. They're on 33 points. But they've managed to create a completely different atmosphere. Like Gary O'Neill has done wonders at this club. He's managed to win against some of the bigger sides.
Yeah.
He's managed to get points where points were not expected, and that's given them even more momentum to go on. And it does look like Bournemouth could stay in the Premier League for one more season.
Yeah, I feel like what he's done is, in general, I feel like when it's a smaller team, they should just go for the win. Because like win means much more. I feel like he's gotten that thing where you can clearly see they're not a team playing for safety. They want to attack. If it means they lose, they lose because they're anyway a smaller team who are expected to lose. But when they win, they get that extra 3 points. They get 2 more points than they're expecting. And that clearly shows in the vibe. So even this game, they lost 4-0, but the football they were playing showed that this was football meant for a win.
Correct.
They were still expecting to win.
It's almost like Gary O'Neill has told his players, when we win, it's not 3 points, we get 6 points.
Yeah.
You know,
correct,
the laws of the league don't apply to them.
Yeah, exactly. He's gotten that sort of a vibe to them, which I think is exciting for us as neutrals, and hopefully it works out for them. And they have one more season where they can probably apply that principle and get the players going. Right.
The final Premier League game that we need to talk about is the super interesting and super iconic and extremely enjoyable to watch 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Everton. Roy Hodgson versus Sean Dyche. And that's all that we'll say about it. FA Cup. Let's move on to the FA Cup. Sheffield United were no match for Manchester City in the first semi-final. 3-0 winners, Man City. Did we even think that there could be an upset on the cards?
Yeah, this was not a semi-final that matched the spirit of the occasion in any sense. Neither was it. Like, even when City was celebrating, it felt like, come on. You bashed up your younger brother. Now come on, don't rub it in.
It must be really hard being City, right? Because even when they play well and they get to finals and they celebrate, people are just like, "Arey, but you're City. How the fuck can you celebrate like this? Like, thoda aukad. Like, come on, like."
Exactly.
You know, like poor guys can't even celebrate properly.
They shouldn't also.
They should be banned from celebrating and
in
winning.
fact, I would have watched the 0-0 between Roy Hodgson and Sean Dyche and watched this match.
But you didn't.
I did.
You watched the 3-0 victory that City had over Sheffield United. Riyad Mahrez, by the way, who scored... how many? He scored one?
Hat-trick.
All three were...
All three were hat-trick.
Right. So, after the game, he tweeted... because the whole blue tick situation that Elon Musk has created on Twitter, a lot of legacy verified handles lost their blue ticks, and then handles with 1 million or more followers got their blue ticks back.
Amogh, you don't have a blue tick?
No, I don't.
Oh, no.
Not anymore.
That's the legacy we lost.
Yeah, man, it sucks. But no, so Riyad Mahrez got his blue tick back, and if you click on the blue tick, it says this user has a blue tick because it's subscribed to Twitter Blue and has verified their phone number. So Riyad Mahrez just tweeted saying, "By the way, I didn't pay for Twitter." So, you know, he's having a great time on and off the pitch.
Even the players have got into a finals and are still thinking about Twitter Blue.
Yeah.
That's how inconsequential it is to even them.
Correct. In the other semi-final, of course, it was Man United who beat Brighton on penalties, 0-0 after full time and after extra time, and United winning 7-6 on penalties. It was a good game. It was an end-to-end game.
Mo, you know how sometimes now a mom will look at her son and be like, "Wow, the son is damn cute," and you're like, "The ugliest fucking kid ever." I think this is one of those situations where I'm like, the game was damn bang average. Even in the background, I thought it was too much.
How have you come up with this analogy? Which ugly kid have you been around?
Mom, my own mom.
So your own mom called you cute even when you thought you were ugly.
But yeah, so
you had the self-consciousness to know how ugly you were when you were how old?
Yes. 7, 8.
At 7, 8, you were like, "Yeah, I'm not cute, mom."
It's like, mommy is overacting kar rahe hai. Similarly, I feel the way about you. Saying, "Oh, it's a damn good match.
It was a
damn
good
exciting."
match. Okay, wait. It's not just
even
not
as
just from
background
United.
noise, as it was running in the background, I felt like, okay, this is a bit too dull.
Really?
It was okay. It was what you're saying. Like, it was such a.
I mean,
Brighton were clearly the most exciting part of the game for sure. And Brighton they were playing great football. And it wasn't just being like banter for the sake of banter, hating on United. Brighton was clearly playing really well.
Yeah.
Maybe in fact I would only say that Van Bissaka shutting out Mitoma was probably the best, was the best
What
part
a
about United.
performance.
But
What a
I think
performance.
Brighton was going to win. I think what clearly showed was Brighton's lack of experience. I read somewhere this is their third ever semi-final. Forget final, winning the final. This is their third ever semi-final. So clearly there's no experience. And I also realized this is probably the first time the players are going into extra time.
Yeah.
That means it's the first time the players have touched football past the 90th minute. So you can see
McAllister has done that at the World Cup.
But I think in general, the vibe around Brighton. So I'm saying clearly that difference in experience between Brighton and United showed
Yeah.
that even on a bad day, United knew a little bit of game management better
Yeah.
because they've played in these situations better.
Yeah.
And I think I was texting you on the group saying that it looks like Brighton are going to bottle it because there was clearly a lack of experience. There was just going to be one player who shoots.
But I also told you that if it goes to penalties, then I don't see United winning because United have a terrible record at penalty shootouts. And
That was you doing a jinx game.
No,
Amogh.
but the
You're
only-
being like, I'll see the bad thing about my team and hopefully.
No, but it's true. I knew the only way United were going to win this penalty shootout was if at least one Brighton player missed the penalty. And that's exactly what happened. Because David De Gea is not good at stopping penalties. He's just not.
Sure, but either way, I felt like the longer it took for Brighton to score and take the lead, the further away the game got from them. And I think it's a credit to even Brighton that they managed to push it till the 7th penalty. The fact that I think what I really enjoyed about Brighton's penalty taking, that despite it being their only third semi-final, was that they had a clear plan and process that they will take the penalty, score it, celebrate in front of the fans, kiss the ball, go to their keeper, give him a words of motivation, come back, walk away.
Which is any team, dude.
No, but I think for Brighton, that for Brighton to have prepared at that level, I was quite surprised. I thought they'll just be overwhelmed by the moment.
Wait,
and they'll forget.
that's basically before the game watching a YouTube video of any penalty shootout of recent memory.
Correct, but I'm saying in that moment, for every single player to have that clear method and process and play, given that it's their third ever semi-final in the 100-year history of the club, I was quite impressed that they managed to keep all that in mind.
It was, of course, Solly March who missed the penalty. But before the penalty, it was Wout Weghorst who scored the penalty for United and then went up, took the ball and kissed it before just handing it over to Solly March. David De Gea also going to the penalty spot and engaging a little bit of shithousery, which was nice to see because United players don't shithouse as much, and sometimes it's nice to see that little bit of chutiap coming from them.
Oh, this is you again. This is you recognizing it now. They've been doing a lot of shithousery for ages.
When?
Now.
Give me an example.
Bruno Fernandes and that.
Bruno Fernandes has not been doing shithousery. Bruno Fernandes has just been crying.
Correct.
That's not shithousery.
Correct. Yeah, even mafia leaders were like, Dawood and Veerappan are like, it's different. We're all not the same type of criminals. It's like that, but it's okay.
Fine. Some people are calling Wout Weghorst's kiss as the kiss of death.
Kiss of death.
I feel bad for Solly March though.
Yeah.
I feel really bad because he was absolutely distraught, as anyone would be, but you could actually see it on his face. And also, he's been so good for Brighton this season. He's been a player that has completely changed under De Zerbi. He did not deserve to go out like that.
He didn't deserve it, and it was one of those. The only people who were happy were the people who write these op-eds and the people who get to write about how tragic it actually is. Only those. Literally every football fan just felt incredibly sad when Solly March was the one who missed it. Even if it came down to the two keepers and the keeper missed it, you'd be like, chalo, okay. But Solly March was the one who embodies that Brighton spirit that we all love.
Yeah.
Him missing it was a little tragic.
Yeah. It was. Right. Before we wrap up for the day, let's quickly mention the fact that Wrexham have been promoted to League 2, finally out of the National League. And into the English Football League. So that's a big step for Wrexham and their owners, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney.
Hollywood comes to the Premier League, baby!
I mean, not yet. It'll take time for it to come to the Premier League, but they're at least
Hollywood's gonna take some time to come to the Premier League, but they're closer than ever, baby. That sentence sounds nice.
Much better. But also season 2 of Welcome to Wrexham is going to be off the rocks, man. It's going to be a fantastic season 2. Also because ex-United goalkeeper, ex-Watford goalkeeper, and ex-West Brom goalkeeper also at some point. These are not 3 different goalkeepers. It's one person, Ben Foster, who recently retired
Serial content creator. Really in reality competition to the corner flag.
Correct. A man who retired from being a professional footballer to pursue his dreams of being a YouTuber, Ben Foster. Came out of retirement to help Wrexham with their goalkeeper crisis because I think both their goalkeepers were injured. And
he took them home.
He took them home, man. he's played really well for Wrexham over the last few fixtures. Ryan Reynolds also, in a press conference that Ben Foster was giving, crashed the press conference and asked Ben Foster for his jersey, which was again fantastic. I'm just super excited to see season 2, man.
Yeah. Content
is king. On that note, it is time to end this episode. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the Corner Flag. If you'd like to get in touch with us and tell us what you thought of this episode, you can find us on social media. You can find Mukesh on Instagram at
Mukesh Manjunath.
and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Amogh and Mukesh.
That's because his name is sadly not Solly March.
I'm happy that I'm not Solly March, but yes, commiserations to Solly March. You can also find the Corner Flag on Instagram and Twitter at @CornerFlagPod. Do visit our website, thecornerflag.in. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And do not forget to give us a 5-star review. Shout out to Kezat Garda for composing our theme tune. And until next week, it is goodbye from us. Say bye, Mukesh.
Bye, guys.
And it's bye from me.